My name is Derek Taylor. I'm a co-founder and early investor in European Moving Technologies, and I've been largely involved in investor relations, but I'm now chairman of the group.
And also you have a radio program at BBC.
Yes, yeah, I've worked for the BBC. Some of you might not be old enough to remember Radio Caroline, the great pirate ship off the North Sea of England. It's still in existence, and it's still broadcasting, though it doesn't broadcast very often from the ship, but it has studios in London, and every Monday, in fact I should be broadcasting now, but I found a Dutchman to stand in for me. But I have a radio show every Monday, and it's country music, rockabilly music, rock and roll, bluegrass and all that sort of thing. And I've also worked and continue to occasionally work for the BBC as an arts correspondent, reviewing books and concerts and shows and stuff like that. But for the last year or so I've been heavily involved in trying to get European Moving Technologies off the ground and expand and grow.
And Patricia, you're sitting in the board.
I am, yes.
But you're also have been working with financial sector for a couple of times, a couple of years, I would say, in London. Yeah?
Exactly, yes. So I run a company called Venture Growth Company, and it deals with just this, helping companies to work internationally and to partner up with companies and to grow. Previous to that, I was in risk and compliance in the financial sector, working with banks and internationally, and again, stress testing with that, and before that in the corporate world. So I span quite a lot commercially in terms of my experience, and also now working with companies that are already growing, but helping them to strategize across the financial sectors and to partner up with people and to be that much more stronger when they go forward.
She's a pro and you're just backbone in the board, all right?
I'm part of the new board in
all right,
the company,
okay.
yes.
All right, don't be shy. The new way of moving is this called, but you have a platform to be heard. Can you tell us a little bit of what's the business idea is all about, Patricia?
Yes, well, the business idea combines, as it says up there, a low price for the work that needs to be done, and a customer focus, very much customer focused on moving. Principal idea is when actually people are wanting to move. And the company is very strong on the concepts of keeping prices low for the operations that they want to do, and to giving the customer a good a price as possible with full customer use and with using very good quality. And
you concentrate on international moving, not domestic.
Exactly so.
All over Europe?
All over Europe. Obviously at the moment we are very strong in certain areas, especially Bulgaria and Poland, and of course the United Kingdom. But it's very much the case that this company wants to be strong and give a good service in other countries as well, and not at least Sweden.
I've learned that most of these kind of competitors you have, they only work domestic.
Exactly, yes. That's the very difference about European Moving, because the concepts and the way that they've been able to structure the business, especially in terms of the back office operations that they have, especially with the work that Stefan does, has enabled them to move much further forward than many of the people in the industry who at the moment can only concentrate on the domestic market. European Movement have proven consistently that they can be a consistent supplier in the international market, and they've been proven so, very much so.
So now we're going to go for the very beginning, the next picture. The old way to move. Yeah. How many times have you moved? How many times?
20 times.
20 times, I'm not about 40. The medium is 11 times during a lifetime. But it's increasing a lot when you many more moves and international moves. But this is what happened during the 50s and 60s, all that. A big van coming with people, and they took everything inside the van and then moved away. Well, this is expensive to do today, very expensive. And you make the national moves, then you don't do like that any longer. You skip all the sofa, you skip all the big furnitures, leave them and buy new ones when you come to Spain, if you're going to have your pension there or something like that. And this is the almost new way to move. Can you tell us about, this is competitor moving down?
Yes,
Germany.
This is one of the competitors called Movinga, who's very well known in the German space, and they're doing very well up to a point. The most important thing here is that they themselves cannot compete once again with the work that so far is being done by European Moving. They're very, very limited, they're still expensive, and a lot of the things that need to be done, although they are well known as a brand, are still being done in the old way. And European Moving are very much at the forefront, want to be their own Movinga, if you like, that they will be a brand name very much known as being working on the international space, but able to be much more competitive and use a much more up-to-date system, as we will sort of take further.
But still, they're domestic.
They are domestic, yes, very much so. Even though they are a big brand, even though they're out there, they can still only work in the domestic
And if
space.
you move back, you're going to the picture before. They have their own vans
Yes,
and own personal.
yes.
Around about
Yes.
225
Yes,
people.
and this is a very expensive way of having an operation, which we've seen, European Moving has seen, has been one of the reasons why things are very costly in that space. This is one of the things that they're working very hard to do, is to bring down those costs and to prove to the consumer, to the person using it, that this is no longer a way of having an operation. This is no longer a way of moving yourselves in an effective way. A better way can be done, and it's going to be proven, and it's proven to be so.
And I will use point at one picture here. Back, thank you.
Am I too quick?
Nah, you're too quick.
I'm stressing you.
Yeah, you do that.
Yeah.
You can always rent an own van and make the movement yourself.
You can do many of these things yourself should you wish to, but how many of us want to pack our things ourselves? If you want to do that, that's fine. It's a service that European Moving can allow you to do. It's a very flexible organisation, but there are very many different ways that you can put a package together to have yourself moved, but it is something...
You probably use that if you're moving inside the town. Yeah?
Yes, you'd use that very much if you're doing it inside the town, but again, the way European Moving allows you to be flexible in how you want to do your move. You can either part do it yourself, or once again, they can take your instructions as to how you want to go and very much move with that.
Now we can take next picture. Thank you. Now it's your concept.
Yes.
What's you have no vans and you have no own drivers.
No.
How does it work?
This is the new way to move. And once again, if I can emphasise, European Moving is really taking the standard bearer forward as to how you move. There are no vans and no drivers. This is very important because this is a cost that they don't need to have, but they can offer to move you anywhere in Europe, internationally, and that is really
So
important.
no such people on
No,
the payroll
no.
whatsoever.
No, there are no costs there, which is, I think, quite an important factor to know. And they can move you exactly where you want to go, from point A to point B, and they don't charge you any more for that particular instruction. But of course, if you want more service, as you do with any things that you have, if you have any of the platforms that you use these days and you want extras, if you want an extra bag or anything else, you would expect to pay those things. This is no different. But of course, you will always know those charges, and you will always know them as you go along. But at the moment, you start off very, very much in terms of how you want to manage your move, and that's what they try to do.
So
which I think
how
is
is it possible? Yeah.
This is precisely how it is made possible. We have a platform that works for existing van and man model. This is the van and man model in terms of you have a van and a man, and that is the basic model, and that is what it's called. The platform itself works with a very logical workflows that works for both customers and transporters, and it's very important that it's also emphasising transporters, because it works for transporters as well as the customers, which is also an integral part. It is very easy to use. It will have a phone app that will sync with our back-end systems and improve tracking. And again, tracking, as you know, with anything is very, very important if you want to know the stage of where your goods are, in fact, what is happening with your load.
And you use algorithms also to see
Yes.
how much.
Yes, we have, the European Moving have their own algorithms, which again is very important, which they've used and developed. And this creates the unique pricing that is available to the company, which again people find invaluable. And the end-to-end customer service that people find is always on a knowledge base. So people are always informed. And I have to say, as with all things, things don't always go according to plan. And Samantha and her team are excellent at being able to use their experience in being able to deliver this service, which is what adds to the value so much of what's doing here. Part load is also something that will also be a future thing whereby people will also be able to do reverse auctions on websites, and again we'll come to that, but that will also be something that will become evident.
Could we have an example of how the platform works now? I think we could have next picture and see what that's all about. Yeah, you have algorithms, and you want to put these into not only the platform, also something like an app. Yeah.
Yes, you will have an app like you're used to having an app these days, and the app will have the pricing algorithms in there, and the services already create a competitive edge anyway within those algorithms. And you have your app, and as I'm sure we're all used to having apps at the moment, this will have predetermined prices for you to be able to make your decisions. As we've also said, there is an established European network of transporters, and I can't emphasize enough established. This is not a startup company, it's a company that's already successful, and it has a European network, and that's something that is not only useful, but when you can do that across Europe from a base of different languages and different people, I think that's quite astounding to be able to do that.
And then
we have an operations centre, and the starring role here, as we've heard from our good friend Stefan, is in Bulgaria, and we're all bound to Bulgaria because they're very evident there, but they have a call centre there, and that gives us also the advantage of cost, which is a very adept, young workforce that can work on a knowledge base very quickly and efficiently.
And how many people do you currently employ?
At the moment, if I can remember off the top of my head, there are at least 35 people in Bulgaria with a total force of 51 throughout. That includes the United Kingdom.
51 employees.
51 employees in total. Again, that is a low cost when you compare of how much is done throughout Europe. I think that you'll find that that's quite a good number to have.
And you have also a system with a platform. You showed me, Derek, that you showed me by your phone how much kilo or cubic meters you move every week.
Mm.
Yeah, you can have it in
Yeah, we know on a week-to-week basis
week-to-week basis
exactly how much business we're doing, what the breakdown of the kind of customers' orders that we're fulfilling, the number of drivers that we're using, the routes that we're using, the mileage and kilometers that we're doing, and all the rest. We all have it all the time at our fingertips on a week-by-week basis. We have a team in Bulgaria that are doing analytics the whole time. How many people are working on analytics, Stefan?
Oh, like 3?
Yeah, there's 3 people who do nothing all week but work on statistics, analysing them to give us, a living picture of how the company is functioning and operating.
Here you see a picture of what do you call it? A route plan? Yeah. And there is 3 routes here. And here we got Nantes, Eindhoven. We're going from France up to Netherlands. And there you see how many cubic meters you're going to load and getting off from different places where you unload.
I think the most important thing, obviously you can see the routes, an example route of where the loads will go, but that will just give you a taster of the routes of which people can manage loads. But the span, a bit of Europe that you can see where our routes of picking up people and doing the loads will go from, at the same time using a number of different operators that work together.
And it's not only one customer, you have 1,
have
2,
multiple
3,
companies.
4 on one load,
Yes.
one trip here, yeah?
Very much so. And
Yeah.
this is again.
That means that you have a full van.
Yes, you have a full van, and this is also where the platform will come in, because once the van is finished and you finish the load, the drivers will be able to see what the situation is with loads, the empty loads. They'll be able to make their own decisions as to how they can pick up a load coming back and work their way backwards. And obviously the platform will enhance that much more quickly and much more effectively than it currently does at the moment. And that's where they see, I see the growth happening very quickly once we fulfill our financial obligations here.
And we discussed what's kind of a business idea is it? And then this gentleman overhead said, when we're traveling in London, you have always your Uber app. He says, this is an Uber. This is an Uber for to move things.
Because it works the same way. It's an app which connects basically two sets of people, professionals who are driving something and people who wants to move something, either themselves, like Uber, or, for instance, goods, in this case. It could be a removal of your belongings in your home. So as I see it, it's very much an IT company, because the company doesn't employ anybody who is driving and doing it. Uber doesn't do that either. So you find many similarities.
And you have more about this. Number 2. Yeah. Here you see the drive customers app. The customer getting to see where the van is on the road exactly now. And they can also order more services and ask questions any time of the day, same as Uber. Oh, we forgot something. And then the driver's app, in the same construction, can give directions on each route selection, what the driver can focus on the traffic. So when they're putting down the sum, what they're discussing, the route plan tells also tolls and going over the I don't think they go by.
I think the main thing is that the driver is in control, very
Yeah.
much so.
Yeah.
And with the app, they're able to be much more in control of all the information they need at any one point. And as they're going through managing their loads, they get their information, they can load up, they can read that very, very quickly from the information that comes through and coming through on their device.
And you get a fixed price.
You do.
And you're also getting a same as Uber. You can tell afterwards what do you think in the rating. One star or 5 star. How does it turn out?
And I think this is very important for European Moving's analytics, which they will be using later, because they will be able to get feedback also from their customers as to how they can improve the service of the customers for themselves going forward. Not only for the service that they're doing in terms of the application, but how they can improve the customer experience.
It's called App a Van, but you don't have that. You don't have that app yet.
Not yet, no, it's in development.
So you need money for that.
We do indeed, lots of it, please.
To him.
And it goes straight over there.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about a little bit about the problems today. You made a market investigation about what people think about to move today.
We did, yes. I mean, that's also why European Moving here. We want to solve the problems that many people have today. And the man and van removal sector does not have any software that runs a man and van operation efficiently. And of course, when you have that type of absence in the market, we see that as something where we can strengthen the market, and we've identified a gap in the market. And like with all sorts of things, when you want to order things, clients do get frustrated with the lack of information out there about shipment. It is very frustrating when you don't know where your goods are, and this is where they'll come in. There are no online portals to make simple adjustments, none whatsoever. And again, that's something that European Union.
So you're ahead of the market now.
Very much so, and very much proven that And as we'll see, we talk about it, people have tried, and you can try this application, but with the experience that European Moving has and the consistency of being able to know the trials of actually what works, this is what makes it very successful. The transporters can't access planning software and tools needed to run, and transporters are also very, very important in this marketplace, so that's a service that they're going to be able to use. They are over-reliant on staff and are using software in an ad hoc basis, and of course, as you know, it's not very good to be using lots of different sorts of software that does not join up. You need to have software that moves smoothly, and again, this is something that European Moving have developed themselves, and also people can't view the inventories of customers, thus reducing shipments for overweight or oversize. And again, there's always a problem whenever you move of size, whatever people put in or they try to move, the size always changes, and of course that's all so important to make sure that it's as accurate as is possible.
This company started 2015 with that, and today you're a market leader in this.
We are indeed, yes. It's been very successful with the ideas and also the information and the different sorts of tried and tested routes that people have used to come together. They have very quickly made a mark in the marketplace and become an early disruptor, as they are, very, very quickly, and have done tremendous success in the past 2 years, very quickly.
Very quickly, yeah.
And I see no reason that wouldn't stop either.
The next one. Yeah, you've got 3 hubs today.
3 hubs in Europe.
Bulgaria is one of them,
Bulgaria
35
is one,
people.
yeah.
And then you have Folkestone
Yes.
in Kent,
Yes.
with a headquarter and
Yes.
management.
Yes.
And then you have also Warsaw
Yes.
in Poland.
In Poland.
And then you now start some small offices because of...
Yes, we have 3 main offices. We don't need any more major offices. Everything we do now will be low cost. We will just have smaller offices just to be more effective and have a presence in those countries.
Is it for marketing or is it for language, or why do you open small offices?
We want to make sure we keep the costs down. It's very important that we do that. There are no extra costs in all of this, and we find it much more important to be smaller, because we feel, as you know, small, you can also be more mobile and you can be more nimble. And when you're larger, it means larger overheads, and of course we want to make sure that the money's spent.
And then you have a big one in Sweden.
We do, yes.
Yeah.
We intend to start moving everybody. Is it from Sweden to Spain and back again?
So you're going to start a company here.
We start a company here, but we're very much keen to keep Sweden moving.
All the people who are going to move to Spain, or...
Yes, we move them to Spain and then we move them back again, or move the grandchildren back again, whichever one helps you. But we're here to help you move.
Let's have a look on the market. The market trend is that people are moving much more now in Europe. This is in Europe. This is from 2006 up to 2017. And we have been slightly different here as the economy was down and then we're going up again. But who are moving international? Who is the kind of people moving international?
I think that's again one of the areas that we're going to look into even more, but I think the trends are that it is professional people moving on the whole, people relocating for jobs, and the market trend for works at the moment is less permanent than it was. Jobs have become far more fragmented, they're much more micro, so there are more roles for people to do that would have been in certain roles. There are more of a smaller roles, and therefore those jobs can now be done in other areas, in other countries where ordinarily the head offices have been. So it tends to be people moving with their
So you don't have to sit in the middle of London and sit
you
in
don't.
London.
You can sit by a lake in Lake Maggiore or anywhere you like.
Only if you work with the financial sector.
Yes.
That was a pass. Here we got some figures about how many people and citizens are moving to different kind of countries. I think we have a pie.
The pie is easier to
Easier,
understand.
Yes.
yeah. There we see Germany 18%, Spain 13%, United Kingdom 12%, very much London, France 12%. than Poland 9. The big countries.
And I think that's probably why European Moving has their offices where they are, because they want to be very much central to the areas where there is a more growth and span for growth.
Sweden is not mentioned here? Sweden is not mentioned?
It's not big enough yet, so we have to move more Swedes. So,
Yeah.
So let's talk about how you conquer the Europe on the market strategy.
Yeah. Well, we resourced a site dedicated to comparing the prices of removal van operators across Europe. So we've usually use comparison sites ourselves to see what's going on, but also beginning to get the end way to be able to do that ourselves. The sales website where consumers and businesses can utilise one platform app. That's what obviously we're concentrating on at the moment, and it must all be in all languages of Europe. And European movement itself is multilingual. They have many different people in the back offices that speak multiple languages. Some of the individuals speak 3 or 4, so it's very much a case of that taken very seriously. We've been creating end-to-end contact strategies, so it's using mediums such as Visio and Natives Ads and emails to engage with people and to bring that business in, and that happens very effectively. They use social media strategies, including running Facebook audience insights on buyers and subscribers to be able to build that community. And community is very important when you're using something like this, which is part of very much what communities would use. And obviously SEO techniques, expanding across 30 EU domains, and they have 30 different European domains that are available.
So let's see about the team behind this company, or in this company. We have met Derek here. We have Richard Francis, which are one of the top guys in the country in the firm. He's owning around 2% of the company. Yeah. He's delivering every week figures. Yeah.
Yes, statistics.
We have Andrew O'Leary, CMO, serial entrepreneur, investor in the company. You got Andrew Lucas, all men here, yeah? And CTO, C-level technologist, and Daniel Blanche. And Daniel is he
was the founder of the company. He spotted the gap in the market. I mean, we have invented this whole concept of man and van international removals. It just did not exist, and Daniel was the one who saw the gap in the market and exploited it to create what we have now as European Moving Technologies.
And now over to the Swedish mother. Och nu kommer jag gå över och prata till svenska. Vi nämligen har idag i princip ett bolag som är sålt härifrån till bolaget. Och det här bolaget är ett moderbolag och det är bytt namn idag till just European Moving Group. Den som är klar för det svenska moderbolaget, Patricia, Derek kommer vara chairman, CEO. Kommer vi att göra intervju med 3 stycken olika kandidater i Göteborg imorgon. Och därför startar vi inte den här emissionen förrän den 15 mars. För att allting ska vara på klart när vi startar det här. Men det går väldigt fort när man gör det här. Utan det måste in 2 stycken. Jag ska ut så småningom, utan det ska in någon annan som gör det här. Så det är så vi jobbar, kan man säga, för att kunna få upp det här bolaget. Men bolaget finns idag. Och det omvända förvärvet, det är frågan om. Allting går in i det här. Går in inom någon dag.
Ja, vi ska väl säga det att det är ett svenskt moderbolag som då kommer att kontrollera ett bolag som är registrerat på Malta, som är det operativa bolaget idag. And perhaps you should just briefly mention why Malta is the country, for operations.
It's an island.
It's an island. Yeah.
Like England.
Yeah, I think Derek actually would be better to
Or maybe
explain
Derek, you can explain.
that particular aspect. Of it.
I think we switch now. Up and down. I know you're the one from the up.
Well, actually, our main reason for going to Malta was to take advantage of the tax breaks that you get in Malta. Our group company, as it stands at the moment, before we started the Swedish company, was based in Malta, but all the operating companies are out of England, Bulgaria and Poland. So Malta really was just a centre, a financial centre that would own the companies. And it was really, you know, to gain the best tax advantages.
And now we're going over. Don't sit, come on. What's that? Financial projections about consolidated profit and loss.
Right, okay. Since we started in 2015, 2016, the company's grown about 400, the company's revenue has grown 407%. And you know, that huge growth has come about through learning how the whole thing works, developing software and algorithms that would help improve the business, which then enabled us to do a lot more business. The business has always been there. You know, once people saw that there was this new concept of international removals that was very cheap and very affordable, I mean, it targets people who in the past would not have used a very, very expensive way of removing your goods from, say, England to Spain, where you might have to pay 15, even £20,000 to have a whole household removed from, you know, from one country to another. These people would often hire their own vans and make the journeys themselves, but then they would have the problem of getting back to where their own cars were, bringing the vans back and all that sort of stuff. And that's the gap in the market that we spotted. Now, of course, you know, how did you organise this? Well, this is, you know, there were lots of pitfalls. We fell into those pitfalls, but we very quickly learned how to avoid those pitfalls, and we started creating systems, software systems, algorithms, which all enabled us to be a great deal more efficient and take on a great deal more business. So a lot of business began to come to us. We got very good ratings with setups like Trustpilot. And on Facebook we get very good ratings. And
Derek, the time is up. We're talking business now.
We're talking numbers.
yeah, but I'm explaining why we were able to increase business by 407%. Okay, then what do you want to know next?
So this is Swedish krona, and you will find more in the memorandum, greater detail to the numbers. But you of course don't make accounting yet in Swedish krona, so we have to convert it. So that is historically what you did last year, January the 1st to the 31st of December.
That's right, yeah.
And the loss is because of development.
That's right. We invested a lot of, as I was saying, creating algorithms, software, systems, and all the rest of it. Yeah, all those costs we have funded ourselves from our income.
Right.
So it's left a big dent in.
You just invested some money last week into the company.
Yes, I myself invested £10,000 into the company, on top of the £100,000 I've put in since we first started.
Right. Should we go further on? Yeah, this is the consolidated balance sheet. 31st of December 2018.
And in the memorandum you will find also 2017 and 2016. So you can go back and you will see how the company has grown. And as Derek said, it has grown fabulously. How much do you think it will grow this year?
I reckon we'll 2 times this year, so we'll grow by 200% this year.
Right.
We've already done this in January. We've more than doubled the business in what traditionally is a difficult month, but we've done it because we've got all these efficient systems in place to attract the business.
So this is the future. Q1, that's right now. So we want to raise capital to pay for further development.
How much capital are you looking for?
At the moment, 4 million Swedish krona. That's what we're trying to raise.
From private investors.
From private investors at the moment,
Right.
yes.
Okay.
And then we will continue to institutional capital as well.
And you have a pie diagram next to them. Right.
This one.
Yeah. Then the other market leaders, I'm going to business to consumer, but you can also use the platform to business manual. that's the future. You see also the platform in the percentage, what the summary, development, launch, on platform, etc., etc. I think we skip that one, go further on. The offering, the issue, 4 million, numbers of shares, 400,000, pre-money value, 46 million Swedish krona, price per share, 10 krona. 15 March to the last of April, according to settlement, 3 bank days. And we're going to also use NBR in Gothenburg as an institute taking care of this issue.
But you have delivered the subscription form
Yeah.
already.
You have it in the seat.
On the back side of the teaser.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.